Hello and welcome back. Today we've got an episode I have been very much anticipating with Terms of Endearment, episode 7 of season 6. Debuting January 3rd, 1999, Terms of Endearment has Mulder trailing a man who he believes could be a baby-stealing demon. So only seconds in and this is already a 10 out of 10, simply due to the fact it guest stars Bruce Campbell. Alright, but I guess maybe I should talk about the episode itself. Wayne and his wife are at the doctor's looking over the ultrasound of their baby, when the doctor tells them it's got some abnormalities. But I don't know, it looks kinda groovy to me. Wayne seems to have taken this revelation that his child will be an abomination a lot harder than his wife. But I wouldn't worry about it too much, Wayne. It's not like the baby would be a demon. The couple lays down for a nice night's sleep and absolutely nothing horrific is about to happen. What the hell? I think we're gonna need an old priest and a young priest for this one. Unfortunately, the demon steals her baby, which also looks kinda demonic. I'm not saying the mom was sleeping around with demons behind Wayne's back, but he might want a paternity test. Luckily, the whole thing was just a dream. Or was it? Of course, with demonic baby stealing, there's only one man who can solve the case. That's right, Jeffrey Spender. Wait, Jeffrey Spender?
You've come to the right place, Deputy Stevens.
I'm gonna have to disagree. So this deputy comes down looking for help for his sister, who just had her demon baby stolen, and Spender's reaction to the whole thing is to shred the report? He really is a little slimeball. No worries though, because somehow this case magically fell into the lap of Mulder. No idea how that one happened.
You mentioned a fire in the room in your account, and a devil.
Oh no, not fire. Remember, Mulder, you're supposed to be terrified of that. Laura here spills her guts. Oh, maybe that's not the best way of saying it, but she fills Mulder in on her little run-in with a baby-stealing devil. Obviously, this would be a very traumatic experience, but almost immediately Mulder becomes suspicious of Wayne. How could it be him? He wasn't even in the bed when it happened. Meanwhile, Scully's interviewing some poor sap about marijuana usage. However, I'm just gonna come out and say it, I don't know what they're doing to her hair now, but it's starting to look a little Karen-y. I swear, it feels like she's gonna start working for an HOA soon. Ah, crap. Mulder calls her up and he's like, look, I know I was supposed to be down there with you talking to potheads, but instead, I decided to track down some demonic baby stealers in Virginia.
Scully, this is a classic case of demon fetal harvest. What they called in the Middle Ages atom nocturnum.
Ah yes, we all know about demon fetal harvest. Obviously Scully doesn't believe it considering her eye roll that can be seen from space. However, it's not the first time they've dealt with severely deformed babies before, so maybe she should hold her judgment just a little.
I saw Rosemary's Baby on cable the other night, Mulder.
Yeah, but this is the real deal. You check that woman's chart, you'll get hard evidence. Check her prenatal ultrasound.
Mulder.
What brand of baby monitor is this? It somehow manages to pick up voices from the other line of the phone as well? Wayne, this is no time for yard work. Laura comes out asking Wayne what he's up to and he's just like, oh, just raking up the leaves like you asked for, honey. Generally not something people do in the middle of the night, but who am I to judge? He sure is emotional over burning leaves though. Don't worry, big guy, they'll grow back. Mulder, I guess, decided to pull an all-nighter watching Wayne's place, but how did the leaf-burning antics not wake him up? Scully calls up Mulder claiming she's been up all night looking at the medical records of the baby. But isn't this something she could have done before bed and not lose sleep? I mean, Mulder was able to sleep just fine.
Protuberances? You mean like horns?
Well, they could be recessive characteristics expressed as vestiges of primitive morphology.
I like how with little to no evidence, Mulder just immediately assumes Wayne is a demon. Absolutely nothing has led him to this conclusion, he just knows. Also, he believes the protrusions on the baby's head were horns. Yet when Scully mentioned the young girl she was trying to protect in All Souls might have angel wings, he sort of made a joke about it.
But I swear I found evidence of something wing-like.
Well, then maybe she flew here, Scully.
I would just like a little consistency, please, Mulder. Scully suggests the evidence points towards the mother, removing the baby herself with a poison called mandrake, which was found in her blood and can cause hallucinations and the loss of a pregnancy, apparently. Meanwhile, Wayne's checking in on his second pregnant wife. Wait, what?
My sister's no baby killer.
I will give the brother here props for having his sister's back. Wayne shows up and of course Mulder's gotta make a little jab at him.
Mr. Weinsider, I don't want to arrest Laura. I'm sure you'd hate like the devil for that to happen as well.
Oh, you sure showed him, Mulder. Again, he really has no reason to believe this man is the devil or some kind of demon, but he just knows, I guess. Although he might be onto something, because as the police search the home, Wayne tells his wife the night they lost their child, he saw her in some kind of trance holding the baby in her hands.
You kept chanting over and over, Zazas, Zazas, Nastanada, Zazas, and...
Wayne.
This chant is way too specific. If I walked in on my wife presumably removing her child on her own while in a trance, I think the last thing I'm gonna remember is the weird chant she was speaking. Anyways, police find the child's remains in the fire pit out back, so I guess someone is going to prison. Laura seems to be going along with Wayne's version of the story, though I don't know why she would. She might have been drugged up, but you'd have to be on some really hard stuff to do something that crazy.
I know what you are.
What, a B-movie legend? Anyways, Wayne calls his other wife Betsy to let her know he'll be there in a few minutes so he can take her to her sonogram. But what I love is how Mulder will not let up. He could ruin this whole thing for Wayne simply by mentioning Laura. Instead, he decides to play some mind games. Now, I'll admit I'm pretty dumb, but do insurance salesmen take people's blood? Wayne did mention something about being a medical insurance technician.
You don't know how lucky you are. 2 cells with all that can go wrong, and there they are. Perfect.
I know Wayne really wants a normal child, but maybe talking about how perfect this lady's boys are is something you should probably keep to yourself. He's like an internet troll come to life. Wayne pulls his spender when he goes crying to Kirsch, but Mulder just shrugs it off and leaves it up to poor Scully to make up an excuse. Wayne visits with Laura in what looks like a dog kennel?
Why'd you go and do that, Laura?
Well, I guess Mulder was right, Wayne is a demon. Wayne then sucks out her soul or something, but unfortunately for him, the paramedics are actually able to bring her back. He even acts a little shocked when they manage to save her. Anyways, Wayne rushes back to his second wife so he can learn the results of the sonogram, and his second child also has weird bony abnormalities. But let's not start harvesting babies just yet, maybe get a second opinion first. Little Miss Scully finally decides to show up, but I'm honestly surprised Kirsch let her. Scully tells Mulder that after her medical checkup on Laura, she found nothing that would suggest she had been attacked or drugged by anyone, which is exactly what Mulder wanted to hear.
Married twice, widowed twice, no children. Prosecuted twice for murder of wives Giselle and Helga. Acquitted twice on lack of evidence. Who is Ivan Velez?
Wayne Winesider.
Seems like Wayne has a very long history of wives suddenly winding up dead. It also looks like Wayne might be the literal devil himself. So Scully proceeds to mock Mulder on this idea of the devil murdering his wives, even though she's also had a run-in with the devil, or a demonic figure of some kind.
I'm not a psychologist, but this is the best explanation for how that I've heard.
Not a psychologist? I don't know about that. What do you think, Scully?
He's an Oxford-educated psychologist.
Anyways, Wayne's cooking up some warm milk, which is disgusting. Oh, they must be looking for dinosaur bones. Or baby bones. Baby bones with horns? Mulder now thinks Wayne is a demon who just wants a normal baby. It would be kinda hard to make one if you were a demon, so maybe just look into adoption instead? Oh no, not again.
Maybe you didn't hear me! I said, what are you doing, Wayne?
Huh, well that's an interesting twist. Mulder and Scully get Wayne's second address from his employer, but what I find interesting is how his second wife Betsy just happens to find them in the middle of nowhere, right after Mulder just said his second house is across town. This woman doesn't even know who these people are. She's just like, he took my baby. Okay, so why didn't you go to the police? Or maybe the hospital? She even says, Wayne, he took my baby. Does Betsy just assume these people know who Wayne is? Or is it something else entirely? The agents find Wayne in the backyard trying to bury another baby, or is he? He's actually about to tell us all something very dark and very disturbing about his second wife.
Betsy is...
Aw, come on, man. He was literally just about to tell us. I don't exactly blame him considering his sister's in a coma, but I'm surprised they just let this cop walk around threatening to beat people up when he literally just unloaded into a guy who wasn't even really doing anything. Also, Scully calls for the paramedics, but is she not a medical doctor? She's only told us 100 times by now. Laura somehow gets her soul back from Wayne, though I'm not exactly sure how. Interestingly, at Wayne's second house they found more children, except these ones are normal. In a fun twist, it seems Betsy was doing the same thing Wayne was, but she wanted a demon child.
Pop-up video.
Terms of Endearment is a fun episode. I honestly really like it mostly because of Bruce Campbell's casting. You can put that man in anything and I'm likely to check it out. However, when this episode hit airwaves, I didn't actually know who Bruce Campbell was. What I did know, however, is the promo for the episode scared the hell out of me. I remember seeing the quick cut of the demon reaching at the screen and it scared me to death. It gave me the same feeling of dread the alien from Jose Chung's From Outer Space did. I can't remember if I did see this in its original airing or if I saw a rerun, but when I finally did watch it, I thought the devil or demon was truly terrifying. I love how it's surrounded by fire, yet also kept to the shadows so you only really get a silhouette of what it looks like. To me, that hint of monster is far more terrifying than actually seeing it. Your brain has this awesome ability to fill in the gaps and turn it into something far more terrifying than any filmmaker could possibly create. I remember there's a scene in Annabelle, which I don't think is a very good movie, but there's a scene where this woman is being chased by this demon and you can just barely see it as it's looking up the stairs at her, and it sort of reminds me of this. The twist that Betsy might actually be something even more terrifying than Wayne is a fun direction to take the story. But what are Wayne and Betsy? Obviously, they're both demons, but there's also talk about Wayne maybe being the devil. But this isn't really the first time they've dealt with the devil. The demon in All Souls was sort of inferred to be the devil. The demon in the Calasari was also mentioned as being this dark force that would come back and get Mulder. There's also Die Hand die Verletzt, which sort of toyed with the idea that the devil was upset with his followers being a little too lazy with their faith. Were any of these the devil? Or is it just fun when writing a story to refer to the demon as the devil, since it's a fairly iconic name and when people hear
The devil,
they basically think the most evil thing possible. Regardless, the episode is fun. It has some things that don't exactly make sense, like Mulder just randomly thinking Wayne is the demon with absolutely nothing to go on, but little things like that I can look past to just enjoy a spooky X-Files story. When it comes to production oddities, Terms of Endearment actually made a bit of history for the X-Files. It was the first time the show lost an actor mid-production because of their religion. The scene in question was the birth of Wayne and Laura's demon child. Director Rob Bowman had spent hours getting everything ready. Cameras, lights, fire effects, the works. They even rehearsed with a rubber doll. But when it came time for the real baby to step in, the child's mother was watching the final run-through and suddenly had second thoughts. She clutched her baby, spoke to the on-set social worker and studio nurse, and retreated to her dressing room. Then she dropped the bomb. The X-Files is my favorite show, but we can't do this. It has to do with the devil, and I'm a devout Catholic. Now part of me has to ask, did she not know her baby was going to be part of a demon birth scene? I feel like that might have been worth mentioning during casting. Or maybe she just wanted to hang out on the X-Files set, score some free swag, and then pull a little "the power of Christ compels you" to get me the hell out of here. Either way, Bowman and production manager Harry Bring handled it gracefully. They thanked her, gave her an X-Files movie poster as a souvenir, and called in one of the backup infant actors they had on standby. 45 minutes later, Demon Baby Take 2 was ready to go. For all its hellish themes, the episode itself wasn't a nightmare to put together. It was actually the first script written by David Amon, who had done a couple TV movies and worked on Chicago Hope before joining the X-Files. He pitched a handful of ideas before settling on what would be described as kind of Rosemary's Baby in reverse. Not from the perspective of the poor woman impregnated, but from the point of view of the devil himself, trying to navigate family life. Early drafts leaned harder into shock value. At one point, Laura gave birth to a snake instead of a humanoid demon. Rob Bowman admitted that he was pretty relieved when that angle was dropped.
Pop-up video.
The real breakthrough, though, was Chris Carter's late suggestion. Instead of both wives being victims of the same fate, what if the second woman actually wanted the opposite of what Wayne did? That twist gave the story more bite and made it work. As always on the X-Files, they didn't linger too much on the monster itself, and instead focused on the human side of the story. Special effects still had their moment though. To show the burned skeletal remains of the little baby, John Vulich at first thought about renting a real fetal skeleton from a medical supply house, but at $3,000 and only a handful available nationwide, that idea didn't sit so well. So instead his team built their own out of adult skeleton models, sawing down the limbs and combining them with a plaster fetal skull. Macabre, sure, but it worked out beautifully on screen. Even the airing order of the episode had its quirks. Although it was the 6th episode filmed in the season, it aired 7th. That's because the Christmas-themed How the Ghost Stole Christmas needed to hit things before the holidays, so production shuffled things around. That explains why all the houses in Terms of Endearment are decked out with autumn decorations. The episode was supposed to air in the fall. Meanwhile, actor Chris Owens, Spender himself, got some unexpected fallout from his little subplot. After the episode aired, people would stop him in public and accuse him of destroying evidence. One guy even wagged his finger at him on the street and said, "Paper shredder."
It's still real to me, damn it!
Of course, the episode wouldn't be the same without Bruce Campbell as Wayne. Director Rob Bowman had already worked with Campbell on The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. and thought he was perfect for the role. Personally, I've been a Bruce Campbell fan since my early teens when I discovered the Evil Dead movies. I've met the man 3 times, photos, autographs, the works, and while he can playfully mess with the older fans, when it comes to the younger ones, he goes above and beyond. I have a bit of a personal story that I'm not gonna tell here, but because of it, this man will always have my respect. Fun fact, Bruce Campbell actually auditioned for the role of John Doggett in season 8. In the end, the part went to Robert Patrick, aka the T-1000, which was probably the right call since Doggett needed to be a straight-laced serious character. Still, can you imagine Bruce Campbell as the skeptical, no-nonsense partner to Scully? It might have been fun, but also maybe a little disappointing, since it wouldn't let him lean into the campy, wisecracking style that we all love him for. Bruce even mentioned the X-Files didn't really have any room for improv, calling it a well-oiled machine. However, this didn't stop David and him from non-stop pranking the crew members until they literally had to be told to stop, since they were actually starting to upset people, which is kind of hilarious. Terms of Endearment currently has a 7.7 on IMDb, and while I do really enjoy this episode, it's not perfect, so I'm thinking maybe a 7. Next up, however, things get very silly when Mulder and Scully are called down to good old Kansas so they can investigate a man who claims to control the weather. In the episode, the Rain King. So what do you think about Terms of Endearment? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great start to the week and stay spooky.
What kind of monster
Take my baby!
steals the unborn?
This isn't an X-File.
Scully, this is a classic case of demon fetal harvest.
You're not suggesting that he is himself the devil?
The X-Files, an all-new episode Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.